Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, today we have a bit of a sad news story as it seems like somebody on a princess cruise ship has literally just sort of disappeared. So most of the time when we have a missing person on a cruise ship, they've stopped the ship and they immediately launch a rescue operation. They'll send out their tenders, their rescue boats, they'll call in the Coast Guard or the military, and they'll start the search right away within hours. Sometimes you'll see a ship turn completely around and head off in the direction of where they suspect the person went overboard after looking at the closed circuit TV footage, etc., or eyewitnesses' accounts of somebody going overboard. This situation, though, seems completely different. We had the Ruby Princess arrived in San Francisco and began disembarking passengers when all of a sudden there was still a passenger who had not checked off. Now, if you've gone on a princess ship, you know you get the medallion. And the medallion is like your room key card. It acts like a credit card when you're on board, etc. And you have to check out. So the security knows you're off the ship. It's also part of customs and border patrols, is making sure everybody who got on that ship got off the ship, etc. Well, the person wasn't there. He hadn't checked off yet. Now it turns out it's a 72-year-old gentleman, especially when somebody is of that age and apparently was traveling by himself. It begins to be a concern. So the first thing they do is they go up and they check the passenger's room. There were no signs of him. There was no signs of his stuff is still there. Unfortunately, he's not. They immediately have to go into rescue mode. And if you ever wonder what happens in this sort of situation, it's a floor-by-floor, cabin-by-cabin search where the crew gets involved, security's all involved. They immediately go to closed-circuit TV and begin searching for anything that shows signs of somebody going overboard. And they search the entire ship. They even go into crew quarters and they go into the engine rooms. They go into where the anchor is. They go into the kitchens. They go everywhere on the ship in case somebody wandered into an area that they aren't supposed to be. They check all the nooks and crannies of a cruise ship, the top decks, anything that somebody might crawl into or fall into or just hide in. Everywhere, including all the tenders on board as well. It's a very extensive search, and they never found this gentleman yet. So the Ruby Princess had already contacted Search and Rescue, and they reported that they do see him on the ship, but there are no signs of him actually going overboard on the closed circuit TV monitors as far as is being reported right now. The Coast Guard did launch a plane to search about 42 miles off the coast, and then about an hour later, they also sent a rescue helicopter to search the area. However, that wasn't until 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon by the time they searched the ships, notified them, tried to figure out where possibly this person, like just going out into the ocean and searching is kind of, you have to kind of narrow it down as best you can to an area, because where the cruise ship's coming in is a big shipping lane. So there's a lot of ships that go in there. So there was a good chance that maybe one of them would pick up the passenger or see, notice the passenger, including pleasure boats that are in the area as well. But unfortunately, they did not find the gentleman as of yet. Even this morning, there's no reports of that happening. And if you're in the water from earlier than 7 a.m. in the morning until after 3 p.m. in the afternoon, it really is not good. Now, very rarely do we not hear that they noticed anything on the closed circuit TVs, which is really sparking some concerns, etc. What really happened? That's why there was such a thorough search of the cruise ships, because a person could have a heart attack, a stroke, they could trip and fall into an area where nobody's around, like up on a top deck or something when they're walking at night, and they fall downstairs in the back of the ship or something, and nobody happens to notice them. That's why they do such a thorough investigation. And not only that, some people are foolish, right? And they try and get into areas of the ship they're not allowed to get in. There's numerous stories of people, going into restricted areas, sneaking into areas just for the sake of doing it, or they got drunk and did it. One story of a gentleman who got so drunk he actually got into an area where the anchor was and hit a button that dropped the anchor, causing the whole ship to come to a sudden stop like this. He was charged and things like that. So you never know in these situations, and if the crew doesn't see anything in the closed circuit TV footage of anyone going overboard, they have to do an even more in-depth search. Now, unfortunately, so far there's no word on any finding of this gentleman out there. Again, he was 72 years old, traveling by himself. The cruise line has come out and said condolences to the friends and family. They're trying to notify next of emergency contact numbers, and the police are now involved as well. There will be a complete, thorough investigation by the police, and possibly even like the FBI will look into this because of the circumstances involved in this, where somebody just seems to have disappeared on a cruise ship after they arrive in port, right? They arrived in port and there's no sign. And as from all accounts, there's really no sign of even when or where the person might have gotten off the ship or fallen into the water or something along those lines. So unfortunate news. It does happen. I just wanted to explain the kind of detailed search that cruise ships go through when something like this happens on a ship. They really do a very thorough job of searching the ship at all corners of it. So if you're ever wondering what would happen if you're traveling alone and you had a medical emergency, like you had a heart attack or something, would anyone ever find you? The answer is absolutely. And it might take a while if you're in your cabin or something, but they will definitely find you. And we can still hope that this gentleman is found, maybe picked up by somebody else and just hasn't been reported yet. But the longer this goes on, as you know, the less likely that outcome will happen. Well, I hope you appreciate this update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world. Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.